Welcome to Public Comment. I'm John Dunbar, former mayor of Yountville.
And I'm Alfredo Pedroza, a vintner.
Hi, and I'm Sonia Tolbert, Chief Development Officer at Communicare+OLE and owner of Playbook Strategies Group.
Thank you for joining us while we talk about politics, people, and whatever else she wants to.
Playbook Strategies.
Playbook Strategies.
I like that.
Very elegant.
Thank you.
We're blessed to have all these nonprofits, and we've said,
Why are people coming to this event?
Explain what you want this for, and then show us your receipts.
And are you getting out as much as you're putting in?
those are dollars that are being taken away from the people you're trying to help.
So John, I was made aware that you went to a board meeting recently. Why the hell would you go to a board meeting?
I know you're missing the supervisors' chambers,
Zero.
but I was there for their recent board meeting. There were a couple hot topics, but one of them that was on the agenda was about the dramatic increase in development impact fees that they're going to be.
Tell me more.
I know, you missed this. They're looking to generate additional revenue for affordable housing, which they, for the most part, fund housing projects that are in the cities and the town, significantly higher impact fees, because granted, they have not been raised for many, many years. And so it, in some ways, makes sense to support affordable housing, but it's putting pretty severe financial impact on residential home building, commercial home building. Anybody that's adding square footage, either new or increasing square footage, is going to feel significant financial pain starting in January.
All right, so we call balls and strikes here, right? This is not about funding affordable housing, John. This is about stopping growth by raising the fees so damn high that no one is dumb enough to build the Napa. Like, this is what it is, right?
I told you you missed it.
I don't get it. Like, here you are. If you want to fund affordable housing, which is something we should do, and you want to see more affordable housing be built in Napa, then address that issue, right? That's a process issue. Funds and resources do help, but it's a process issue. To say that you're going to increase fees for the outcome of affordable housing is not okay. And we're letting people hide behind that. And I give credit, because I did hear from some courageous leaders, and I think let's give credit to those that did the right thing. I think Supervisor Alessio and Supervisor Cottrell were pushing back on this dumb idea. And I give them credit for doing that, because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, there was a pretty significant public comment portion, and the folks that were really concerned, of course, the real estate industry and also construction, home builders are concerned about the consequences. The folks that were really encouraging, including Alessio and Cottrell, wanted more time to just let this thing all play out, but it was a 3-2 vote to move forward. January, I believe, 16th. Things are going to look different.
So let me just tell you, because I'm not done with this dumb idea. Napa County relies on property tax. You need homes to get built. You need homes to get expanded. You need hotels to get built, wineries to get built. So you get the benefit of collecting property taxes, which gets reinvested in our community. The most stable revenue in the county of Napa. And yet you have the electorate, the elected leaders, willing to put that in jeopardy, right? Now, they're not going to be around when the consequences are here, but that's not, their job is to have the long game, John. It's not about brand politics. It's about doing the right thing and pushing back. So the fact that this is what the current body of government is doing, it's hugely disappointing.
Your 3 minutes are up.
I'm done. I'm not going to cheers to that. I'm not. I'm going to have my cigar.
Cheers. Sonia, thank you for joining us. It's going to be interesting to find out a little bit more about you, because we've known each other for many, many years, but I don't know the full backstory, how you found yourself here in the Napa Valley. So tell us a little bit about that part of your life,
Sure.
and then we'll get a little bit more into what you're up to these days here.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for having me. It's great to be here with both of you. Well, I found my way to Napa Valley probably like a lot of people, maybe not so totally on purpose, but very happy that I did. I was born in Mount Shasta, but I was born in Mount Shasta. And I grew up up in the Willamette Valley in Oregon. And my parents were both teachers. My dad was a basketball coach. So the Playbook thing kind of, you can tie those things together. And I grew up in a agricultural town where people mostly like farming was the main industry. And my first job was actually working on a farm. I worked on a broccoli crew for a summer.
Ooh.
Yep. I can't
That's
eat
hard work.
It's not fun work.
Still to this day, you can't.
I really can't. I really, unless it's chopped up very finely. Like there's no broccoli
Somebody
in my
can
life.
mix it into a stew and trick you. That happens to me sometimes.
Yeah.
Hey, the broccolini at Rutherford Grill's pretty good too. And then Don Giovanni's has some great meals too. But
Broccolini
digress.
is different
Yeah.
from broccoli,
I
but I
know.
won't digress
the
into
same
how
thing.
and why.
okay.
But you
But
can
there-
tell if you stick your hand into a really overly ripe head of broccoli, which will never leave my, like, talk about a
That is-
core memory imprinted on my brain.
Can't say I've done that.
I know.
That I can say I didn't have.
So you had no idea you
No,
would learn
this
this.
is why
this
we
really
wanted-
random fun fact
wanted
having
some
me here
background.
today.
We're going deep
Set the
background.
hand.
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah, but I also hear they have some wine grapes up in that area.
they
a little
do.
bit.
But when I was growing up, it really wasn't such a thing. But one of my very best friends, her grandfather's farm, where we used to run around,
Yeah.
is now like a winery, which is, but Napa went through a lot of that same
Sure.
kind of evolution. And so after I decided that I did not want to work in a broccoli field for the rest of my career, I went to college up in Seattle and studied psychology at Seattle Pacific University, thinking that I wanted to go to law school and be a prosecutor. And that would have been fine, would have been
Yeah.
great. I did my internship for the city attorney of Seattle, which was very interesting work.
How's their football team doing, by the way?
Well, the Seattle Seahawks, as you know, are near and dear to my heart. And we're actually doing really well.
Okay.
We are really well,
felt like I
especially
needed to
after
ask
the
that.
Niners lost yesterday, which I know that's like taking a real shot across the bow, but can't help it.
John's a
Yeah, but
Raider.
I think I remember Seattle playing the Niners.
Let's
earlier
move on.
this year.
Let's move on. We're here for a purpose, John.
That was for Jerry.
Okay.
She will very much appreciate you. Yes, very much doing
But-
that. So, anyway, I got some good advice that maybe I should take a year between undergrad and law school. And I started working for a resort development company and got kind of fortunately
Yeah.
got plugged into working with the gentleman that was in charge of the permitting process for what is still today Washington State's biggest master plan resort. It's called Suncadia now. So I was involved in that from I literally faxed out. This gives you a sense of how, how old I am now. I sent out the fax of the press release that we had purchased this piece of property over in Cleveland, Washington. And
Things have
funny-
changed.
Yeah.
Things have changed. And at the time, I just thought I was sending a fax, and these really high-powered land use attorneys were calling me like, do you need any help? Do you need help? And I'm like, of course I don't need any help. It's a fax. I had no concept of the scope and the scale of which I was about to be a part of for the next 5 or 6 years. So that's really how I cut my teeth
Really?
professionally, was helping build the community support effort for that project. And then from there, I built their corporate giving and community relations program, which was global at the time. I had no business being in a role doing that, by the way, but I did it, and I learned a ton. And then we got acquired by a big Wall Street conglomerate, and so I had this really amazing, start to my career, and then decided that I wanted to move to California, and kind of one thing led to another, and I got a job with Timbers Resorts, and we were taking on the sales and marketing contract for the Residence Club at Carneros Resort, and had a great career with them, and did
So
the
that's what
marketing
brought you to
That's
Napa?
what brought me to Napa. Yeah. I traveled a lot though when I was with them, because I had 5 properties from California to Tuscany that I was responsible for the marketing for.
That's
and then
too bad.
It was rough. Actually, Tuscany wasn't as glamorous as you would think.
Oh yeah, it is. I don't care.
Well, we called it second shift. You work all day Italy time, and then you work all day California time. But it was great. It was a pretty extraordinary experience to
What a journey, though.
do that. Yeah.
And you've also
Yeah.
seen a significant evolution just here in the valley of hospitality,
Yep.
Destination tourism and all that.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit more about that transition and how you've kind of found, because you have a couple different, very unique but relatable, I don't want to say projects, but areas of focus
Yeah.
that you do?
Yeah. So after I worked at Timbers, I took a call that then brought me to Napa full time, working for Festival Napa Valley. And that's really when I decided that I wanted to do work that had more of a community focus and had some more purpose. And so, was with them for a while and then started Playbook Strategies. And it was really what I wanted to do with Playbook was I wanted to take everything that I'd learned in the business world and what I had learned in helping grow a nonprofit organization and bring those together to help other nonprofits kind of grow and scale and
And they need help.
get out of their own way.
Well, we one of our very first episodes in season 1, we talked about the fact that there are over 550 nonprofits just here in Napa
That is
County,
a
and
lot.
many have similar, if not almost identical, missions. And whether it's the best way to kind of dilute the philanthropy or not, and
Mhm.
so that's kind of
But
one of the things
yeah.
that I'd be very interested in hearing your
Mm.
perspective on.
Well, I don't think you want to hear my perspective on it. 'Cause
No,
you're
I
looking at
really
me.
don't.
But I do want to double click on that though, because we did talk about that.
Mhm.
And it's not just about diluting, philanthropy. It's you're lessening the impact on the people
Yeah.
that you're actually trying to help.
Yeah.
And that's been my challenge with all these nonprofits. And we know them. They're our friends, they're our neighbors. We go to their events, we do the things. But then at the end of the day, if you all have your own executive directors, your own chief development
Mhm.
officer, your own HR person, your own IT, those are dollars that are being taken away from the people you're trying to help.
Yeah.
So maybe just help us, Sonia, unpack that of
Yep.
what's the rub there, right? Because we all talk about it,
Yeah.
right? We all love to talk about it, convene work groups and do ad hocs.
This
And
is a very charitable valley.
It's incredible. I mean, I think that I've never seen anything like this community in the way that it has philanthropy really deeply woven into the fabric and the values, which is, being on the nonprofit side, on the fundraising side is, an amazing
It's a
gift.
blessing.
It
Yeah.
really, really is. It's one I never, ever take for granted. But I do think, I look at it this way.
Yeah.
It's really hard work to work in the nonprofit sector. You are always under-resourced. You're always trying to do less with more. We can talk about the current state of things, which is making things even harder. And I really think that it comes down to how do you, like you said, Alfredo, how do you maximize your impact and the difference that you're making and really helping leverage the limited resources, the limited time that you have to do more for your community. And I just think that there's a lot of time spent doing the same thing this organization's doing, the same thing that this organization is doing, just in the administration, the planning. And I do think that donor fatigue is a real thing. And I also think that it's really hard work to raise money. It's really hard work. It's probably like the hardest sales job you're ever going to have, because really what's in it for the donor. So you have to really make yourself relevant. And like I say to my team a lot, like, make me care. Like, if you're going to practice a pitch, make me care.
Well, that's what the live testimonials are all about. And so many of the events that we've gone to, when you have somebody that can speak to the specific, whether it's Boys and Girls Club or OLE or any number of these organizations, Hands Across the Valley, when I was on that board, when you can meet and appreciate the people that have benefited from that, that inspires you.
It does
But
inspire you.
it's still, like you say, it's a hard job because you have so many competing interests that are all valid, mostly should be valid anyway. So it sounds like it's also different enough than your Playbook strategies when you're kind of putting that hat on versus your charitable giving and fundraising piece. Is there a challenge for you to be balancing all these things, or have you been doing it long enough that it's like, okay, today I'm doing this?
I think that doing both actually makes me better at both. I love my Playbook strategies work because it helps me understand different perspectives and get kind of out of my own fundraiser bubble. I actually did help 2 organizations merge, and
I love that.
I know. So one down, many more to
Right.
go.
549 left.
I'm on a mission. And,
Yeah.
and I do want to talk about Playbook strategy because I'm naturally fascinated by that. But I do want to go back to this nonprofit, and you kind of just teed it up right now. Because if you remember at the county, folks would come in, for the tobacco settlement grant, and everyone would come in and have a script and tell us how great, things were and trying to inspire us. Maybe I'm not as inspired as easily anymore. But one of the things that we tried to push was kind of like performance measurements.
Yeah.
And how do you measure?
That's not good that she's laughing
No,
that much.
but here's the thing, right? Because
Hey, I'm a marketer at heart.
but you're part of a community clinic, and you measure whether this community is healthy or not. You have a metric. You can tell me specifically what you're doing to make this community safer. I struggle with some of these other nonprofits where I love the rainbows and unicorns. I love it. I have 2 kids at home, 3 kids still. 3 to be clear.
Did you
I
forget
didn't
one?
forget it. No. No, I still have 3. But the whole point is, I feel like there's this resistance to go down to, okay, we're going to challenge ourselves to be outcome oriented, to show this community, whether it's government agencies or the public, of what we're doing. So I'd love to hear your thoughts.
You want my real honest
Yeah,
answer? I mean, I
please.
think that if people are really honest with themselves, I think that there's a fair bit of ego involved, right? Like it's really
Totally.
hard. First of all, change is hard, right?
Yeah,
And I
human
know
beings.
this from, at OLE, we went through a merger 2 years ago. We're still working through the pain points of it. It's not easy,
Yeah.
right? Like I don't want to sugarcoat that you just go, okay, let's
Egos,
combine
personalities,
resources,
totally. Yeah.
culture.
Yeah.
But you still raised over
ways of
$3
doing
million
things.
this year.
We did. We did because this community loves what we do, and we're really fortunate to have a long track record. And I don't know. I think I throw a pretty good party too,
You do.
if I'm gonna
Absolutely.
say so.
I've seen John dance.
I think that at the heart of it, like if I were to
Yeah,
pull a group of people together and say, let's just put all the cards on the table and be real,
totally.
I think you got to really be willing to put your ego aside and think like, how do we combine our efforts and our resources to have the most impact for people? And when I started Playbook, my whole business model was built around helping people really focus on what is your why? Why do you do this?
I love that.
Why does it matter? And really focusing on what your impact is. So again, going back to, measurable impacts. And I don't want to in any way take away from all of the good work and the good intentions that
Because we're lucky
everybody's
to have people,
doing. We really are.
Absolutely, right.
But if we were to if I go back and I put my business hat on, right? Like I spent 15 years in business 15 in business and 15 in the nonprofit space. Is it the most efficient way? Is it the most effective way? In some cases, the answer is probably yes. But I think in others, I think it's warranted that there be some exploration, especially today where, we don't need to get into what's happening. Everybody watches the news, but it's getting harder to get money. This community is changing in much the way that the wine industry is changing and hospitality industry is changing. So is the philanthropy industry because donors are aging and we're seeing a next generation. And what I'm not seeing is a lot of people focusing on cultivating that next generation of philanthropists, but you're also going to have a gap there. So it's complex like most things.
Yeah. But I'm glad you're saying that because, look, I think there's a level of honesty that this community needs to kind of grapple with. And it's hard because we know the people, but it's how do you detach the people from the mission?
Yeah.
And I think that's a hard part. Like, we're blessed to have all these nonprofits, and we've said it. But at some point, you reach a different time in this community where it does merit this discussion, especially when you couple it with it is getting harder to raise money. Like, I see firsthand the work you all do. It's incredible. But it's also, can that be sustainable? And like, you need to think about all those things at the same time.
But you also see a lot of cut and paste of what people are asking every year. And that's a little frustrating. And
Seven crab feeds too much, John.
I've been on, well, I mean, you could argue that there are a lot of things that are their tradition, right? People, there are some people that love it the way it's always been, don't ever want it to change. Then there are people that get tired of the same thing, would like some refresh. And then that's part of that hard work of how do you balance that? Because you don't want to alienate people that are really supportive of your brand, your business, the Valley, but it's okay to evolve and it's okay to change and offer something different and maybe ask for something different and deliver something different so that it isn't.
You're talking about silent auction items?
Oh, you guys, we don't have enough time today for
know
my
that's where
thoughts
you were
on this
going,
silent
John.
auction.
You wanted to just do that.
Oh, you set me up.
So blatant.
Flirting
I
with
was.
me.
I was
Don't
setting
do
up.
that.
It could be that there are some parts of fundraisers that used to be necessary, more relevant, easier to manage, and now it feels like it's just, we have to do. You'll use the silent auction as an example. We have to do one. Let's get 5 items, 50 items, whatever, and then
The time.
John, I
the
feel like our guest
energy.
has a lot to say about this, and you're not allowing it to happen.
No,
So
he's just trying to soften my blow.
That's right.
I think because
teeing you up.
yeah, I think, yes, I will address the silent auction specifically, but I also think that to your point about there's things that are on autopilot that might need a little bit of a refresh. I know from work that I've done with clients, you got to get in and you got to look at the numbers and you got to be evaluating why are people coming to this event? Are they coming because they want to come to a party? Are they coming because their friend asked them to? Are they educated and teed up? Do they know that they're coming for a reason to support an organization? How many people are actually participating in your fundraising activities? And look at your numbers, the metrics, because I'm a big believer in is the juice worth the squeeze? And are you getting out as much as you're putting in?
is that part of what Playbook is trying to do with?
Yeah, I do that with every single client. I start with the numbers.
Yeah, because look, I think that's so important because there's too many organizations, to John's point, that have these events on autopilot, and I don't think they're producing the value of what they're putting out there.
There's also an
And I'm not picking
expectation,
on anyone.
but when I was mayor, we used to have 24 nonprofits come to Yountville and request funding support. And we eventually said, you have to have a nexus of delivering service to local residents.
Mm-hmm.
And so that eliminated some. There are national organizations that would reach out, just send the template.
Yep.
And we also started saying, explain what you want this for, and then show us your receipts for you doing that. So we actually know you're doing what you said you were going to.
Yeah.
It's hard to say we're no longer going to support you or whatever that organization is. It feels harsh, but that's also a reality. When we're seeing it in every level of business too, doing it the same way isn't as effective as it used to be.
But business is nimble, John. Business can fire people.
Well,
business.
Not all businesses are nimble. Sometimes the small business that can't really adapt as easily because they don't have the resources to risk.
I guess what I'm saying is most businesses have a CEO that can make a decision to hire or fire someone within a second. We're dealing with unions, most government agencies, nonprofits deal with boards. It's a little bit more complicated. That's all I'm pointing out to about the difference in nimbleness.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's a fair point.
Yeah. But I do want to go back because I think we've talked about this, but if someone's listening, what are some of the steps? And maybe if Playbook is doing this, it'd be great for people to know.
Sure.
So if someone is out there, what are some of the first steps though that people can take to say, okay, we're looking in the mirror and we're seeing some declining efficiencies, or we're seeing that it's harder to raise money because the annual gift guide is producing less money, which that might be another topic in itself. But what would you tell someone though? Say, okay, have that discussion. Is it talking to your board? Is it talking to your donors? Or what does that look like?
I mean, it can look like a lot of different things, but I think the very first thing that you need to do is you really need to get down to your numbers and look at what's your revenue mix look like? How sustainable is it, right?
You can drink, by the way.
Oh, okay. Once we get into talking about silent auctions,
yeah,
then
okay. Every time you say that, you got to drink.
sustainability is a big thing. Like, are you one or two grants, or are you one or two major donors from having a massive financial crisis?
Yeah.
And how much time here I'm going to go in now on the silent auction. So
Okay, there we go.
I have cheers to this.
Wait,
Oh, cheers.
Gotta do it right.
You're so proper.
that's right.
I know.
Structured.
So I have a dream that there be no more silent auctions anywhere.
Tell us the nightmares around this.
I think that it is not a good use of time and resources.
Totally agree with you.
The amount of time it takes to go out and source everything, the time it takes to then package it up, the time it takes to administer it. And it's like, to be candid, like it's a bargain shop most times.
Agree.
And I think that kind of cheapen, again, like going back to why are people, especially if we're talking about fundraising events, why are people coming to your event? Are you known as like, ooh, I can go there and get a really good, deal on a, dinner out with my spouse? Or are people like, I really want to go to that because I really believe in what they're doing and I want to support that organization? Now, two things can be true and both things work for people.
But we know that that's also going on. Absolutely.
I just
100%.
think though that again, going back to like time and energy, I think it can be better spent on educating your donors, cultivating better people to come to your event, that are teed up and know why they're coming. And, people go, well, not everybody can buy a big auction lot. True. But you know what everybody can do? Raise their paddle for a fund in need.
Look, on that point though, I think the easy thing to do is a silent auction item. And I sometimes people are lazy. And I've been to many of them.
So ineffective.
No, I agree. But I'm thinking, because I've been on boards and everyone's like, oh, I'm going to go procure this item. And I'm like, you're taking the easy way out instead of saying, hey, I'm going to go try to up that previous donor, right? And get them to up their power, right? But that's hard. And I think we're going through a phase of sometimes we play to the lowest common denominator, which is I'm going to go get you a case of wine. Or I'm going to go get you something. And it's fun for me because I write my friend's name on things once in a while. And I've gotten stuck with like a pink tricycle before.
You go around and that's kind of fun. That might actually make them fun now. Now I know, okay, maybe they should stick around.
We've done that in the past and I got stuck and someone got stuck with a grill that they didn't need. So we've had our own source of entertainment. But the whole point is, I think these boards sometimes are filled with people that, A, shouldn't be on that board. And that's being honest. B, don't have the capacity to be an effective board member. So they're out there doing things that are not really producing, to your point, those tangible benefits. And I think that's where we also have to start saying, okay, well, how do we up this?
Right.
And it's executive directors, in my opinion, holding their board accountable. And we've been on it. Like we love the crab feeds. We love the galas, but it's like the same thing. And it's predictable. You know what wine is going to be auctioned off. It's like clockwork.
Do you think that auctioning off wine, this is one of my like real gripes. When I go to a silent auction in Napa Valley, and I'm sure I'm going to offend a ton of people by saying this,
I'll do more.
And you're auctioning off wine to people who live here that own, like, at least find things that are interesting and relevant to your audience. Like, just try harder.
See, but that's
try harder.
So what you're saying though is spot on. I feel people are not trying harder, and we're taking the easy way out. The only reason I'm going to bid on wine is if I'm going to drink it in the moment. So if you give me a bottle of Bubbles, I'm going to buy it for Brenda in the moment, or our friends. If there's red wine or tequila,
but
I'm going to do it.
That's not very often.
Correct. But that to me is, I want the instant gratification of sharing it with friends in the moment.
Yeah.
Silent auction items, A, I'm going to forget. B, I don't want the logistics of having to go get it. And C, it's not as exciting. It's not interactive.
Does it? Have you ever, I don't know, I might prove my own theory wrong here, but have you ever purchased a silent auction item that then made you endear more to that organization you bought it from?
No.
John's going to say yes, just to prove my point wrong.
No, I'm thinking because it's hard to say. There are items that I have purchased that I would not have purchased anywhere else. I don't know that means it. Well, it might be unique bottles of wine, or a lot more. What I'm seeing now is experiences, which I think is what is attracting people, because you can really get creative with experiences.
Yeah,
they don't have to be $20,000 trips.
No,
they just need to be things that you can't normally do, and that could be a hike in an area that is not open to the public, or something that's probably not for you.
I'm thinking about land trust because they own 118,000 acres that people can't have access to.
That would be an example of if there's somebody on the land
That'd
trust
be a great
board,
buy a spot auction lot.
Yeah.
Again, no talking me into
But
liking a
that's-
silent auction ever.
But then you also have people that come from out of town to hang out with their friends, and they go to an event and they want to buy wine because they're in Napa Valley. And so
Mhm.
I get why it's tricky to not have that part of it.
Yeah.
But it does go back to, I think, to the origins of what are you there for?
Yeah.
And if it's just a bargain, that's not what we're going to do here, because we're raising money for a legitimate, worthy cause. So you need to either be willing to, pay some
Mhm.
money, even if it's raise a paddle, or maybe this isn't the right thing for you.
But to your point though, John, I think there is, because I do see a lot of locals that are generous, maybe can't raise it for 6 figures, but are generous, but it's diluted because we're going to everything. And if you remember when we were in office, we went to so many damn things. So it's like, okay, I'm going to do $1,000 here, $1,000. Well, at the end of the day, and it's like the CPA, it's like, it's
adds
a
up.
lot, but in
Yeah.
the moment you don't see it. So imagine if you did one $10,000.
But it's
It could-
also, to your point
Yeah.
about impact,
That's-
does the 1, and
No,
every dollar counts, right? Every dollar, every minute, it all
a
counts.
big
But
picture.
it's like
yeah.
where I look at it kind of from an investment standpoint, and I constantly am coming back to where are you making the biggest difference? And you're totally right. You could go to a charity event in this valley probably 2 to 3 times a week, 52 weeks a year.
I think
That's a
we were
problem.
pretty close back in the day.
Yeah. They weren't,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
weren't all fun.
But I want to switch the narrative a little bit, because you talked about boards of directors and whether they're effective or not. And I've been on several. We've all been involved in them one way or another. And there have been some that have been very good and very successful, really committed and active working boards. And there are others that want something on their resume they can tell their friends at a dinner party.
Mhm.
And there's also, I think, sometimes a lack of understanding about the exposure directors have potentially if they don't actually manage
Mhm.
the finances. In some cases, these are hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe even more than that you need to be properly managing.
Mhm.
And one of the concerns that I had some years ago was, where is this money truly going?
Mhm.
In a couple different places, it's like, we don't follow up. And if you don't follow up, are you sure that it's going to the cause that you want to be supporting?
Mhm.
And so that's all about the kind of the behind the closed door stuff, that
Yeah.
we trust that everybody is providing the resources to the families in need, or the
Yeah.
whatever it is.
You don't want to go audit people to see if they're taking like food away from
Well,
people.
you have to
No, that's-
you have to do an audit though. If you make $2 million or more
Oh.
a year, you are required by law to have an audit.
God.
So there are guardrails. However, there's a lot of organizations that fall under that $2
Yeah.
million.
No,
I think for the most part, people are doing the right thing, but it's a
But
valid question.
I know that there are some times that people are unintentionally not following, or they don't really have bylaws to follow. And so, because it's like, well, I'm a volunteer, I'm just doing this because I'm passionate and I want to do the right thing and help my community. But there are some rules about it all.
No, I agree. I thought where you were going with this, John, and I kind of got a little excited, was around people just getting on boards for resume building. Because I see a lot of
Oh,
that.
absolutely.
And it's unfortunate, right? Because I think, again, you have so many nonprofits, everyone's like trying to figure out who can get on the board. So then you get a weak board. It's run by the executive director, or it's run by the chair, and that chair just recycles over. It's chair, vice chair. So you see the gaming going on. And I think that's part of it, right? There's also the human capital fatigue.
Yep.
And I don't know if maybe that's something we can talk about, because it is hard to have active boards. But I think
It is.
active boards make a huge difference. And I think you have some members, right, on some of your
Mhm.
boards that are doers. Like,
Yep.
they don't sit around waiting for you. It's like, let's go.
Mhm.
And that's the other side that I don't think gets talked about too much, is you don't want to tax your people too much either, because they're going to get burned out. And
Right.
we're seeing that a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, your board members are volunteering their time,
Yeah.
right? And your board is probably one of your most invaluable assets as a
Yeah.
nonprofit organization, because they are the people that are helping you with your governance. If you've designed it right, they're helping your organization grow by opening up their networks of people, and
Well, that takes
they
trust.
should be a
Yeah.
fundraising machine. I know not all boards are structured that way.
Yeah.
am always a little confused as to why a board would not be fundraising leaning, but that's just because I start there all the time. And yeah, you do your board composition matters a lot because I've, had some clients that I've had to help, retool their board or, help re-energize their board and, the engagement there. But again, Alfredo, it's having clarity and purpose for what the board's role is. And not everybody can write a check and not everybody can, so there's a nice spectrum though, because a lot of people can bring value in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
And so
Where do you see the future going? Can you project if you are, here we are saying things should change, they should refresh, we should, challenge people to be innovative. What are you seeing on the horizon?
I think that the current climate that we find ourselves in economically and politically, especially from the federal level, is going to force the issue. I think that
in what way do you think?
I think that organizations are going to find that their resources are getting squeezed and that it's becoming harder and harder to deliver on their mission. And
more reliant on private donations.
I think more reliant on private donations. I think more reliant on private foundations. I just think it's going to get harder to do the work. I think it's going to be harder to find staff. And I think that there's going to be a whole number of issues and things that really force nonprofits to look at how they can come together. And it might start by a lot more formal collaborations and partnerships. I know we're doing that in the healthcare space with my OLE hat on. And I think that that's positive. I think that good will come out of at least conversation and an exercise of how do we do more together. And I'm hopeful that we'll start to see some movement there.
Yeah. So
it's either that or there's going to be attrition, no question, because people are just not going to be able to financially sustain.
Well, I think when there are times like these that are kind of uncertain, even volatile, that provides opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And so this might be the time, because we talked about this months ago and are finally really kind of getting a like an expert perspective from the inside rather than us talking about it from our perspective.
You're not going to get invited back to things, John.
I know.
But look, it's a good thing. I think that's okay. I think it's okay to acknowledge that there's ways that we can improve this community. Like that's part of it. And maybe, 500 nonprofits worked at a period in time, but we have to be self-reflective enough to say, hey, maybe that's not the number now, but we got to get into what are some of the meaningful steps. And I think that's part of where I see this community heading into. It's going to happen naturally, or there's going to be some invisible hands at work. And that's good, right? Because the government should not be solving every problem.
Right.
There's a role for
stay out of the way sometimes.
Yeah.
Don't go there,
Cheap
John.
shot.
There's a role for private, there's a role for nonprofit, and there's a role for government. And Napa historically has found that equilibrium very well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think right now there's just some natural tension that I think you're starting to see. So
what you're saying is we need to rewrite the playbook.
Ooh, very well.
Word.
That's right.
Well played,
Does that mean
Mr.
we're done?
Dunbar.
Cheers
Cheers
hey,
to
that's
that.
as good as we get.
Okay.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Well done, Johnny boy.
Alfredo, what do you think about our conversation with Sonia?
I think Sonia did a great job. I think, the hats she wears, right, from strategy with Playbook Strategies to working for multiple nonprofits, I think it was awesome, right? But I really appreciate her honesty, where she was willing to say, hey, we got to be honest with ourselves, and there's some egos at work here, and there's better ways to achieve outcomes. And that was refreshing, John, because you and I have talked about this, and to hear someone that's in the trenches doing this work, it validated. I know you and I think we're right all the time, but it validated that we are right on this topic.
You're right this time for sure.
Of course I
am. We talked about this in one of our very first podcast episodes about how many, over 550 nonprofits in Napa County, and would it make more sense to have some consolidation in order to be able to really be realistic about the kind of support and where that money is going. So it was interesting to hear from her, so that we have a perspective from an insider, not our perspective as regular patrons and supporters, but somebody that's really in the trenches and is seeing it. And I appreciate that she was willing to be really candid about it.
I agree, and we need more people like her that are honest, and that she's not thinking about job security. She's thinking about the people she's serving. And if you're in the nonprofit world, you're there for a service, not necessarily a job. And I think it's become the opposite. People are there for a job that leads to the service. It has to be the other way around.
I also appreciate that she has found her strength in her career. She's had a couple different opportunities, and I think she's really doing great work, and she's committed to it.
I can't wait until the Cowboys play the Seahawks. It's going to be a great game, and I know who's going to win.
I'm not going to say anything about that. Cheers.
Cheers.